I read the Grisha trilogy when I was 10 years old, and the ending was so bad that I'm now 17. I've forgotten most of what happened in those books, but I still remember that I fucking hated the ending. I barely remember anything from when I was 10, but I do remember this book series and how bad it fucking burned me.
I can't.
So in this video, let me tell you how bad an ending must have to be for me to remember it 7 years later, even with my shitty memory. If you haven't read the books, it's a story about Alina, this little orphan girl who enlists in the army to follow after her childhood best friend who's been with her since she was 8, also another orphan. And she's very mousy, alone. She keeps to herself, doesn't have any friends basically outside of Mal. Her entire world revolves around Mal. Mal is her son. But then one day, Mal is being attacked by these monsters in something called the Fold, which is this just blot of darkness on the map that people have to cross to when they're shipping goods. Because a Darkling made it a long time ago. He was an evil Darkling. A Darkling is someone who can summon shadows. And they have these little monsters in there called Volcra. And Mal is selected to go for a crossing across the Fold. And of course, Alina goes with him. And then Mal's like about to die and get killed by one of the Volcra. And Alina's like, no. And then she busts everywhere. And turns out she's a sun summoner. So she goes to the little palace, which is in the imperial capital. And she learns to live and train amongst other Gregs. It's like the little palace is just Greg Hogwarts. She's very suspicious of everyone around her. She doesn't want to be the sun summoner, you guys. She makes a few friends along the way. She flirts with the current Darkling a little bit. They kiss, but then his mom tells her he's going to use you. And so Alina doesn't even give this a second thought. She's been trusting him and is low-key kind of in love with him. But now immediately she's like, yes, you're so fucking right. Like, he's an evil fucking bastard. I need to get the hell out of here. So she makes a run for it. Then she goes off with Mal to find 3 amplifiers. Amplifiers are things that make her power stronger. Normally, a Greg can only have 1 amplifier. Apparently, you can have 3, I guess. So she wants all 3 so she can get rid of the Fold. After the first one, the Darkling, kidnaps her again. After they find the second one, they break away from the Darkling and they hang out with the second prince of Ravka called Nikolai, and he's hot and charming and he's a second male lead. More like third male lead. The Darkling is second male lead. Nikolai wants a political marriage with Alina, but he's also kind of actually in love with her. Third book, Alina is still searching for the 3rd amplifier, and then she meets with the Darkling at the Fold and they battle each other. And then Alina stabs Mal because he tells her to, so she can get the power of the 3rd amplifier. Because surprise, surprise, he was the amplifier all along.
You've done well so far, but up until now, I've only been using a mere 5% of my power. Now let's see how well you fare against my Biden blast!
Then she loses her powers after that because she broke the laws of the universe because you're not supposed to have 3 amplifiers. And she kills the Darkling and then she runs off and yeah. But first, let's talk about what I liked about the last book. I liked how the Darkling died. I reread it and I was like, damn, this is kind of touching. It was bittersweet. How he dies in the books is Alina loses her powers. The Darkling's like, no, you're nothing. And then she stabs him with a kitchen knife. He's like this? Like this? And then he falls to his knees. He's like, Alina. Then I think she holds him in her arms. He looks up at the sky and he's like, blue sky. And when she's crying, he strokes the tears off her cheeks and he's like, someone to mourn me. Anyway, he chokes out his final words and then he asks her to burn his body so that there will be no grave to desecrate. And then he's like, speak my name one last time, Alina. Because she's the only one who knows his true name. The only one alive who knows his name. Probably the only one in centuries to ever learn his name. And she's like, Alexander. And he's like, don't let me be alone. Because what he's always been afraid of is the loneliness. Leigh Bardugo did kind of do her thing with that scene. It was pretty good, I'll give it to her. And I liked when Alina burnt his body and then she whispered Alexander as it burnt away. It's kind of unearned, their tender little goodbye scene, because they don't really have much of a romantic basis. And they're acting like they've been together or have this love-hate relationship for multiple years at this point. It's a good scene regardless. But, yeah, those are the only two good scenes. And everything else sucks in this book. Everything else is so horrible. Dude. Alina loses her powers. That shit pissed me off so bad when I read that. Oh my god, me, a 10-year-old, and I read that, I was like, you did not just fucking do this to me. I spent 3 books with this annoying girl waiting for her to grow, to show some maturity, to finally step into her role as a sun summoner. And then you're just like, no, she's gonna be this stupid little girl for the rest of her life, and her powers are gone. That shit pissed me off so bad. I still remember that fucking anger. Truly crazy. The book reason for why she lost her powers is because she got greedy. She made a 3rd amplifier. That's not allowed. But if Gregs get sick when they don't use their powers for an allotted time of being, you know what I meant, then shouldn't having them removed kill her? Leigh Bardugo? Shouldn't that kill her? You cannot say that their power is a part of themselves, a part of their identity. It's like an extra organ, and then you just rip it away without consequence. This specific punishment was chosen so Alina could run off into the sunset with Mal. Even though it makes no fucking sense. You know what would be a better fucking punishment? She gets her fucking powers vacuum sucked out of her, and then she dies. Because that would actually make sense. Or the 3rd amplifier reverses the effects of her powers, and using them hurts her. Or even 3, which is the one that I like the most. She starts like getting ill, and eventually one day she just fucking explodes because she can't handle that much power. That would make so much more sense than the universe being like, bad girl, like, ooh, you're being a little naughty. You're gonna be grounded. Okay, goodbye, Alina. This shit is so fucking stupid, bro. The Darkling can make the fold. He can make the Nichivoya. But Alina wants a bracelet made out of Mal's bones, and suddenly the universe is like, that's too far. That's too far. But the Darkling can turn people into these shadow monsters, and then he can make shadow monsters. And he can blind his mommy with the power of the fold. He can make the fold. And nothing ever happens to him? Leigh Bardugo, what if I gave you so much peace and love? And this is such a crazy step up from her last punishment for using Mirzist. Last time she did, her hair turned white. It's like, what is the universe doing? Okay, you just dyed her hair for free, like that's the punishment. And then when the Darkling does his crazy shit, the most he gets is he looks a little skinnier. Like, I guess that's the new Ozempic. Like, what the fuck is this? That's such a crazy thing to go from, like, oh, my hair turns white, oh, I dropped 10 pounds, to you lose your powers. It makes no sense. You need to already establish that you can be, like, harshly punished for doing crazy things. Not just go from one extreme to another extreme. Besides, there is no precedent ever set in the book of a Greg losing their powers. Now, hold on. You might be thinking, why are you calling them Greg? Did you guys know that this author's so fucking stupid that Grisha is just a nickname for people named Gregory? I don't like this woman. I don't like her. She makes the inner 10-year-old in me just so angry. As I was saying, there's been no historical account of a Greg ever losing their powers before. There's no mention from any character in the story of being like, better be careful, Lena. Have you heard about Darth Plagueis the Wise? Ilya Morozov did basically what she did. He overstepped a ton. He was fucking fine. He resurrected his child and the universe was like, don't care, not my problem. Like, why does universe in the Greg trilogy just randomly wake up? Be like, no, Lena, you're very bad. You should be very ashamed of yourself. I know that this guy resurrected his kid and did a bunch more crazy shit. And I know that the Darkling did all this crazy shit. But it doesn't matter, Lena, because you're very bad. Like, if Alina had been shown to hate her powers, or if there was some, like, parasitic thing that was, like, actively killing her, great. Amazing for her to lose her powers. But she loved them, dude. And a lot of people argue, she just wanted a simple wife with Mal. It, like, makes no sense for her to run back to this orphanage. Like, she's never been shown to care at all about, like, other orphans for all 3 books. She's never been shown to be, like, a person who just really loves children. It only goes back to the orphanage so leigh Bardugo can, like, pat herself on the back and be like, wow, I'm so amazing. Like, I really made this, like, a circular ending. No, you didn't. I hope you don't. You should be ashamed of yourself for writing this drivel, you weirdo, you fucking freak. After she gets the 3rd amplifier, her power just like busts, and then she makes a bunch of sun summoners, which is like, okay. Like, this is, I just can't help but think, like, the light inseminated them. Like, sure, man. Sure. This is all because Mal turns out to be the 3rd amplifier that she needs on her quest to get all 3. She had the freaking stag, she got the freaking sea whip, and then she needed the firebird, but oh, actually, Mal was the firebird all along. Maybe it was the friends we made along the way. Let me read to you what an amplifier is supposed to be. Amplifiers are creatures whose bones, scales, antlers, their literal physical matter, contain the ability to strengthen a grisha's powers when worn or embedded. Alina must kill Morozov's stag herself and wear the collar to access the amplification. She must claim the sea whip, break its scales, and have them grafted on her body. Mal, this is how it goes. She stabs him, and then that's all she needs for him to be claimed as her amplifier. Even though previously we know that there's a much more rigorous process that she has to go through. It's stupid. Leigh Bardugo walks back on the rules she's already established. Because, I mean, if Mal's bones are taken out, then her little manipool can't have his donkey back. And then she can have a happy ending. So she acts like the rules that she's established no longer exist. Somehow, stabbing Mal is all that needs to happen for the amplifier to be activated. And he's been injured before. And his amplifier abilities never spilled out during those moments, just only in this moment when it's most convenient for the plot for leigh Bardugo. This is so fucking ridiculous. She is so attached to Mal, not just Alina. The fucking author herself is so attached to Mal. She just refuses to let go of him, even though, like, if all you need to do is stab them. Then why did we have that whole process where Alina has the little collar of the antler bones on her neck? Why do we have to go through the process of descaling the fucking sea whip and putting it on her wrist? Leigh Bardugo, somehow, no one knows that he is an amplifier. Somehow this is never found out. Alina spent 9 years with him, and she's supposed to be the second strongest Greg of all time, or maybe the strongest, you know. She's been around this man. 9 years of fucking life. They've touched a ton of times. Not once does he activate anything. Not fucking once. There's a moment in Siege and Storm where he grabs her wrist and she feels this weird feeling and she's like, oh my god, Mal. But that doesn't matter because it's just a weird feeling. She doesn't have any of the amplifier feelings that she feels when she comes into contact with other living amplifiers, like this passage in Shadow and Bone. When Bagra fastened her bony hand around my wrist, I realized instantly that she was an amplifier like the Darkling. I felt the same jolting surety flood through me, and sunlight erupted through the room. You knew instantly then, so why didn't you know instantly when you've been around Mal for so many years? And one thing about Mal, he will hump anything that moves. He's even had sex with Zoya, who was like, again, a very powerful Greg. And whilst they were copulating, which means that their hands were all over each other for like, let's be generous, let's give Mal 20 minutes. 20 minutes is a very long amount of time. They had their hands all over each other for 20 minutes. Zoya never felt anything. That's just ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. Like, all logic is removed just so Mal can be a special little boy. He's a special little boy, you guys. Because, did you guys know? He's actually like the Darkling's great cousin. Cause Bagra, her sister, was a living amplifier, just like Mal. And actually she died once, but then she came back to life. And so she passed that gene to her descendants for centuries upon centuries upon centuries. There was no inbreeding, and somehow the gene remained that strong for like 800 years, maybe even a fucking millennia. Every single person in her line of descendants was a living amplifier and was able to resurrect after they died. So that brings me to the question. When Mal's parents or his grandparents or whatever the fuck died of, let's say they died of old age, what happens? They're like, oh, on their deathbed, like, Deborah, I love you. Thank you for being my companion all these years. Oh my God, Deborah. Wait, why am I buried underground? Oh my God. And then I guess they just die again. My God! Bagra herself, she had like dozens of kids, and only one had her same genes to be a shadow summoner. So why do the rules of the world keep shifting around Mal and the fact that Mal needs to have his happy ending? Leigh Bardugo is so obsessed with this guy. I'm like, what's wrong with you, woman? What the fuck is wrong with you? The requirements for an amplifier is you have to kill it and then you have to wear it. Alina never fills these requirements, but somehow it still works. And then somehow I'm supposed to believe that Mal's great times 1,000 grandma was fucking Jesus Christ of Nazareth. What the fuck is this? In this increasingly fantastical world that Alina is stepping into, she outgrows Mal because Mal is just some fucking orphan who's kind of hot and he was in the army. But Leigh Bardugo keeps having to place importance on him, or else, again, he would just naturally fade into the background. I mean, fuck, Alina's surrounded by the crown prince. And she has the Darkling, who's like the Darkling. And she's surrounded by all these Gregs. Obviously, Mal just can't live up to it. It's kind of like power creep, but in a different way, I guess. So Mal increasingly becomes more and more pointless. So he needs stuff to make him more relevant to the plot again. So Leigh Bardugo keeps throwing him bones over and over again. Oh, he's gonna be a super amazing tracker. He can track anything. Oh, and he's gonna be descended from the Morozov line. Yeah. How the fuck does being an amplifier mean that you can resurrect yourself? Like, is that not Mirces? And in the books, he dies. And then Alina's like, oh my God, Mal, you're dead. And then just like, yeah, he's back. Literally, like a few paragraphs later, he's like back. Like no one even like resurrects him or anything. He's like, hey guys. Yeah.
Wow. Hey people.
I would understand resurrection if it's like you die from old age or like an illness, something that's not physical. But if you get resurrected from like actually a wound on your person, that just doesn't make any sense. Did his body knit itself back together? That's fucking crazy. That's crazy and stupid and I hate it. Let him die. Let Alina wear a fucking bracelet made out of his bones. Nice new bracelet. Ooh, Gucci's so jealous. And how many resurrections do you have? Can you like keep resurrecting, or is there like a set limit? Like, how does this work? Do you still naturally succumb to old age? Did Bagra actually survive when she, jumped off that cliff or whatever the fuck? Because she's from that same bloodline? Like, what we're left with is this. Mal is an amplifier who does not amplify. He is a sacrifice who does not stay dead. And he is a descendant of a magical woman whose resurrection powers break every single law in this shoddily built world. And leigh Bardugo wants us to accept all of this without any sort of resistance. And then back to the resurrection where Mal dies in the climax. It's a good narrative beat on paper, because for once, Alina would be choosing the greater good over her own personal attachment. For once, she's making the hard call. The decision is immediately voided, Mal is back, everything goes back to normal. If you make me spend 3 books with a character, I expect them to change and grow. I don't want them to be the same exact person that they were at the end of the series versus who they were at the start of the series. Because then again, why am I paying you money to read your fucking shitty book? Huh? leigh Bardugo? I want to see them make decisions, lose things, gain things, and become shaped by these events. I expect the ending to reflect all of that. A story that closes without anything changes at all is not a story. At the end of the trilogy, Alina's character arc was one of self-denial. Her journey did not build towards anything meaningful. It simply folded back on itself. What is the message here? Never grow up. Run away from your responsibilities. Fuck other people, only worry about yourself and your boyfriend who doesn't give a shit about you. Maintain the status quo and don't bother changing it, even after you've been given the power, the resources, the knowledge to address these things. Imagine if Percy Jackson lost his powers after fighting Kronos, then faked his death because he was tired of being the main character of prophecies, and then moved back into his mom's apartment. He doesn't tell the gods to start taking care of their kids. No, that's not his life anymore. That's none of his business. He doesn't care about all these half-bloods who had reason to turn to the dark side. That's their problem. He doesn't care. All he wants is a quiet life. You know what? He starts teaching at Yancey Academy because he wants to give back. Isn't that so sweet? Or Harry beat Voldemort, but he loses his power because of the Horcrux in him died, and he's tired of being the boy who lived. He fakes his death to make it look like he died at Voldemort's hands, like some martyr, and then he goes back to live with the Dursleys. He doesn't bother with rebuilding the wizarding world, or hunting down the remaining Death Eaters, or protecting Muggleborns from discrimination. No, that's not his world anymore. That's not his business anymore. Who cares if wizard Nazis are still going around propagating their wizard Nazi ideology? Not his problem. He just wants a quiet life. The whole point of a protagonist is that they have to do something. It might seem like I'm attacking Lena, which yes, but also from a technical writing standpoint, there's no point to a protagonist who stays static and flat throughout the entire course of the series, makes no real change to anything. What's interesting about reading a protagonist like that? Are you fucking serious? I want to read about a protagonist who does things. The trilogy ends by punishing her in the wrong way. What she should be punished for is her selfishness, is her constant need to always be with Mal, no matter what, and her constant desire to run away from her responsibilities. That is what should be punished and addressed. And punished, in quotation marks, I'm thinking of like a parent who's like, no. Should not be punished is her for using her power, which is a part of herself. The ending lets her get away with the worst parts of her, which is her selfishness, her unwillingness to take responsibility and change things, and empathize with other people who are not her and Mal. I have not seen the show. I will never watch the show because I watched the ending, literally just the ending, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is corny. Like, it ends with this girl going like, and everyone around her starts coughing up blood, and the acting is so cheesy. And then Alina's like, here's the cut, baby. And then she realizes it's Shadow, and she's like, I digress. I know that the ending is, or just the second season overall, is looked down upon because I heard that it butchers the characters from Six of Crows, and I know that it butchered the Darkling's character as well. But what it did get right was having Alina marry Nikolai and keep her powers. Yeah, because that's the ending I wanted, man. Because Nikolai's just like, do you know how blind and fucked up in the head Alina has to be to choose Mal over Nikolai, this charming, hot guy who will make you the queen? Girl, you're so stupid. Oh my god. Fucking mentally ill. After Alina loses her powers, she fakes her death, and then she runs back off to her orphanage with Mal, and they take care of all the kitties there. People know that that was her birthplace, okay? And it is one of 2 places that have ever been connected to Alina so strongly. Saint Alina. It's her birthplace, and it's run by a woman who looks exactly like her, was the exact same age as her. And the apparat, or however you say that word, was literally parading Alina around to her most loyal followers. And these most loyal followers never want to make a pilgrimage to her birthplace, and they never see her and are like, oh my god, Saint Alina. We have a real life example of this. Have y'all ever heard of some place called Mecca? Yeah, that was where the Prophet Muhammad was born. And in 2023, Mecca saw, I think, 14 million visitors in 1 year. And every Muslim person has a goal of going to Mecca at least once in their life. Mecca is like the holiest place in Islam. That's how much they value it. So it should be the exact same case with fucking Alina, especially since our followers are so like crazy about her. And Alina gets visited by her rich friends in the capital, and somehow these dumbass fucking kids, I don't know what the fuck Alina's teaching them, probably teaching them how to serve their man. Mikolai will like occasionally come, and no one apparently knows what the future king of Ravka looks like. Are you fucking stupid? Are you fucking stupid? They were just like, wow, like, oh, who's this strange guy? He loves to come here. I wonder who he is.
Look at that guy over there. Yeah, he's so sugoi. That's
Alina and Mal get like a lot of other high profile visitors, and no one's ever suspicious. She has white hair exactly like Saint Alina. She was the same age as Saint Alina when she died. She's in the birthplace of Saint Alina, getting visits by all these high profile people, and no one has even one suspicion. Get the fuck out of my face. Stripping her powers away from her for this bullshit of fucking ending. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. Make no mistake, bro. She loved her powers. Read this, bro. Mal said roughly, I can't go back! I screamed, not caring who hurt me. Even if you take away this collar and this team of skills, you can't carve this power out of me.
And what if I could? Would you let it go? Would you give it up?
Never. We need more light, he said. A choked laugh escaped me. I held up my hands, pleading with the light and with any saint who had ever lived. It was no good. The gesture felt false. It was a pantomime. There was nothing there. I don't understand. I cried as I pressed my wet cheek to Mal's. His skin was already cooling. But that's not even the worst part. This is a line that I still remember. I forgot every other line in this fucking book series. This is a line that's stuck in my brain. Not the full line, just like a few words, but still. The boy and the girl had both known loss, and their grief did not leave them. Sometimes he would find her standing by a window, fingers playing in the beams of sunlight that streamed through the glass. Or sitting on the front, who cares about that part? What? She would play with the sunbeams. That shit pissed me off. For 7 years, I remembered that because it set me off so bad. You're gonna tell me that and you're gonna have me think that this is some happy ending? Fuck you. That is so fucking tragic. Are you serious? Oh my god. And then what pissed me off even more is right after that, Mal is like, oh, Alina, I feel you too. I can't even say it's not laughing because it makes me so angry. It's like, Alina, like, yeah, I totally get you, babe. Like, I can't even track stuff anymore. Like, I'm in the same boat as you. So sorry, Mal. I'm so sorry that you can't find fucking rats and deer in the forest anymore. I'm so sorry, Mal. That must be really hard for you, huh? That must be so hard that you can't fucking find animals. What makes this so egregious is that before Alina knows she's a Greg, she is weak. She's sickly. Everyone hates her. She feels out of place. But then after she realizes she's a Greg, she becomes healthy. She becomes visually more appealing. She feels better about herself. She feels more confident. She goes from having one friend to no, she like gets friends. Like, that's a pretty big character development for her. The story makes it literal. The more Alina leans into her identity as a Greg, the more complete and healthy she becomes. But the conclusion of her arc says, no, Just fuck that, you know, reject that part of yourself. And it's all because Alina has to have her powers gone so she can end up with Mal. Mal spends the entire series resenting Alina's powers. He's always getting angry at her and screaming like, oh, Alina, why can't you go back to that sickly little mousy girl who just used to follow me around and let me fuck as many women as I want? I'm so fucking sick of you. Because that's the condition of the relationship. She must descend for him to reach her. With this ending, the big message that the main couple is giving is that you have to shrink to be loved. The final image of Alina in this orphanage is fucking horrible. She's never shown any inclination of ever wanting to raise other orphans. She's back to where she started. She's a girl on the outside with no name and no one but Mal. Oh, but her friends visit her. Her friends are busy as fuck. Nikolai's running a fucking country. Zoya's out there fucking doing her Mary Sue bullshit. She's alone for like 90% of the year and just stuck with Mal. Like, what is wrong with leigh Bardugo? She actively chose to make the ending a regression of Alina's character because she went out of her way to add, oh yeah, the other people at the orphanage think she's a fucking weirdo. They like Mal because he's charismatic and sexy and hot, but Alina's weird and skinny and strange. Why is she even here? And leigh Bardugo goes out of her way to like not give Alina anything. Like, Alina's one other hobby besides serving Mal is painting, and she's not even good at that. The girl was different, small and strange, with white hair that she wore loose down her back like an unmarried woman, seemingly oblivious to the glares and disapproving clucking of the teachers and the staff. Often, she was always starting on some new project or other, drawing a map over one of the classroom walls or covering the ceiling of one of the girls' dormitory with irises. Not much of an artist, sniffed one of the teachers. Just needlessly cruel to her, my god. And no one else pays the price that Alina does. The Darkling co-spy for like 600 years. He does crazy stuff like make the fold. The universe does not give a fuck. And even till the end, he's never punished. The whole reason this happens is because Alina's like a greedy little girl. She's like getting corrupted by the power. But why does that not happen to the Darkling? He does way worse stuff than her. Why is he not fucking like beating her ass? What the fuck is this? And then Nikolai, he gets to keep his power singular as the future king. Don't even start saying, oh, Nikolai abdicated the throne for Zoya. He's still gonna be the king fucking consort. It's not like he was like, I'm out of here, Zoya, goodbye, good luck to you. I'm gonna go to this farm and start tilling the fields because it makes me feel good. It just gives me a sense of inner peace. Hell no, he's still very much heavily involved with politics and Ravka. The other girls get to keep their powers. And then Mal is awarded with Alina, and Alina gets nothing. Alina just disappears, and it is all for Mal. Because if Alina had kept her powers, there would be no logical explanation for why she retreats into obscurity with Mal. She has her power, she's gonna have to be stepping into her role as a sun summoner. She's gonna have to actually like let the fuck in, okay? Do some actually productive things. Try and make this country a better place instead of running off and dicking around with Mal. She would also be immortal, so Mal would just be one blip in her long immortal life. But leigh Bardugo can't let Mal be without his prize. So she just takes Alina's powers away and all is well. Then she can have her little happy ending with Mal. Because Mal's perfect world has always been one where Alina goes back to the way she was. I mean, he literally says over and over again in the books, it's like, God, Alina, go back. At every step of Alina's transformation, Mal's always there to be like, ugh. And in the end, he gets exactly what he wants. His discomfort with Alina's power is never interrogated. It is rewarded. He doesn't have to grow. He doesn't have to face what it would mean to love a woman who is more powerful than he'll ever be. Instead, her power is taken off the board. He doesn't know how to exist alongside her when she doesn't need him anymore. So what the story does is it breaks her down just enough so she'll need him again and then clips her wings. If this was a psychological horror story with a tragic ending, this woman lost all that made her who she was after so much time of her husband being jealous and vindictive of it all, and she's now shackled to him after he's gotten what he's wanted. I would say, great job, leigh Bardugo. You are a masterful writer. That sent chills up my spine. Like, you successfully made me feel very ill. But to her, this is a soft little epilogue. This is what you deserved. Leigh says Alina should have never ascended in the first place, and that her destiny was to always go back and be plain again. This story has the target audience of young girls, and at 10, the message that I got was that if you become too powerful, no one will want you. If you shine too brightly, the world will put you out. The people who love you will not change. You have to be the one to change. You have to go back to being someone that they can keep and that they can stomach again. You have to dim and shrink, go back to being palatable. The price of being yourself is loneliness. To be loved, you have to be small. The books have already given us a taste of what Alina would look like without powers. Let me read this to you guys. What was I good for in this strange country? Mal could hunt, track, handle a gun. The only thing I'd ever been good at was being a Greg. I missed summoning light, and each day I didn't use my power, I grew more weak and sickly. Just walking beside Mal left me winded, and I struggled beneath the weight of my satchel. I was so frail and clumsy that I barely managed to keep my job packing dirt at one of the field houses. Oh, but she's happy, right? She's really happy without her powers. Come on, you guys. Throughout the books, her arc seems to be one of self-acceptance and self-love, where she claims her identity. I mean, in the first book, she goes from like being low-key scared of her powers to gradually loving them. And then in the second book, she loves her powers. I mean, they're a part of her. It's just like as easy as loving like your fingers or I don't know, like your ability to like pick something up, because that's just something that's intrinsically a part of you. But Alina never grows into herself. She will grow and then retreat. Not for herself, but for the comfort of Mal. It's not that Alina chose to give up her powers out of her own volition. She lost them in a narrative that clearly couldn't imagine her having power and Mal. The narrative rewards his mediocrity. He gets the girl, he gets the quiet life. I mean, he even gets money and riches because of Alina. Like, fuck you, she's your sugar mommy, dickhead. He's allowed to stay the same person that he's always been. Meanwhile, Alina gets her powers stripped from her. But it was because she was like being seduced by the power. She was just like, just losing herself. She wasn't becoming the same girl anymore. Which is something that is like never shown in the books, by the way. If leigh Bardugo wanted to write a story about how seductive power is, there's other ways to do that. If you want to show that power is corrupt, show that through the fucking Darkling. He's done way worse things than she has. Why is she the one getting punished? He should have been punished a long ass fucking time ago. And in the Zoya duology, Alina makes a cameo and then she looks directly into the camera and she's like, I'm happy. I was bad. I wanted too much, and now I got the punishment that I deserve. I deserve this life. This is all my fault for being greedy. I shouldn't have been greedy. Also runs contradictory entirely to the idea a lot of defenders of the book's ending like to say, which is she's really happy, you guys. This is what she always wanted. Which one is it? Did her powers corrupt her and make her greedy, and so her ending is her punishment? Or did she long for that quiet life so much that this ending is the only one that makes sense? You cannot have both, but I will address both. So the entire concept of greed depends on freedom, which is the ability to walk away, say no, and still choosing excess anyway. Alina never had that freedom. She was told repeatedly that destroying the fold is her job, and the only way she can destroy the fold is if she gets 3 amplifiers. She wasn't like, I need 3 amplifiers so I can conquer the world and so I can stick it to the Darkling and show him that I'm the fucking top dog around here. No, she was like, the Darkling is a monster, and I'm gonna be the one to put him down, and I'm gonna destroy the fold for the good of Ravka. Like, she was told continuously by everyone around her that that was the thing to do. She had to have all 3 amplifiers. Alina's greed is not character driven. It is entirely driven by the plot. She needed the amplifiers because, without it, the story would have no plot. What the fuck is this? She's not supposed to get the 3 amplifiers, and what is she supposed to do? Just like run away? And then what story would we have? Like, you need this concept for your books. Okay? So why are you punishing her for it? You fucking donut. The story punishes her for following its own rules. She didn't have any crazy lust for power. She just wanted peace for Ravka. The other thing that people say is Alina's always wanted a quiet life with Mal. What she wanted was to run away from all the pressure and responsibilities that came with being a sun summoner, which I get, like, lately I've been stressed the fuck out because of a multitude of things, and I wanted nothing more than just to, like, have time be stopped and to hide into a hole somewhere and wait for everything to blow over. I still feel that way. But her running away from her responsibilities should not be rewarded. She needed to lock in, do what needed to be done, and step into her power.
That's irrelevant. I'll be like, let's focus on what we need to focus right now. Ooh, you need to get your music done. Ooh, me? You need to go in the studio. You don't need to worry. You don't need to worry about them people. You get your work done on time.
Alina should not be rewarded for turning her back on a broken world because she didn't want to fix it. I'm sorry, girl, but that's your responsibility when you're the sun summoner and you make her take care of an orphanage. That's just so selfish. If Alina really fucking cared about orphans so much, she'd be like, Nikolai, I'm not going to fake my death. I'm going to really step into my position. I want to make sure that no other Rovkin child will ever have to face the fear of being orphaned. I want to make some actual real change in the world, not just fuck off to an orphanage and not even address the root problem when she has the power and the connections to address the root problem. She knows that the Gregs are being tortured and persecuted. She's even seen it herself, but she doesn't care. She's awarded for her selfishness. Nina is not someone who struggles with duty and desire in a meaningful or balanced way. She is someone who consistently recoils away from responsibility. She resents what leadership demands of her, but she loves the good parts of being the sun summoner. She loves the status that it gives her. She loves her powers. She wants her abilities, but not the burden. She wants to wield light, but not be dependent upon. She wants to be exceptional, but still free of any expectations. So her fantasy of running off with Mal that she occasionally has is an avoidant daydream, where she chooses herself over everyone else. This would be understandable if she was a veteran who's already done so much for the country, and now she feels like, I've already given up my blood, sweat, and tears to this country. I've done as much as I can, and I know it. And now I would like some peace and quiet. No, there is more work to be done. She can absolutely do so much more. She could have married Nikolai, or at least assumed some position as a sun summoner, or former sun summoner, and change things in the country. She could have changed the view that people have of Grisha. But she just doesn't care about any of it enough. I mean, she hasn't even sacrificed anything for Ravka. She hasn't done anything at all. Throughout these 3 books, she's never done one thing that was actually good for Ravka. Not one fucking thing. She didn't even fucking destroy the fold. The other sun summoners that she made destroyed the fold. Like, what is the point of her character? Oh, but she killed the Darkling. Who gives a fuck? I mean, was the Darkling really the biggest problem? Like, all these Grisha are being rounded up and tortured. Why don't you step up and do something, Lena, you fucking dumbass? You can worry about, like, beating up the Darkling later. I mean, there's real problems you gotta address here, dumbass. In Crooked Kingdom, we are shown that Ravka is flat broke. They got no money. They have a war brewing with Fjerda. Fjerda. The Grisha are going extinct because of, what is this word, Jurdaparum? The Grisha are still heavily oppressed everywhere, etc., etc. There's just so much fucking problems going on. And Alina's just like, cuddled up with Mal, being like, oh, Mal, I love you. Like, let's say that she's 100% happy, even though it's obviously that she's not 100% happy. I mean, playing with the sunbeams, man. But let's just say that she is. I mean, it must feel pretty good to, like, run away from all your responsibilities and then fuck off into the sunset. Like, that feels great. Leaving once the work gets hard, and then you get to enjoy a life of riches. I don't want to say enjoy. But let's say she really did enjoy it. I mean, I want to run away from all my problems and, like, live a life full of riches. I mean, I don't want to be an orphanage caretaker with a horrible man who I want to kill, but, like, I mean, they're rich. Her powers would necessitate changing the status quo and making the decision to no longer just be a passive person whose only goal in life is to chase after Mal. She would actually have to step up. Leigh Bardugo wants to say, Alina gave everything. She chose a quiet life. Isn't that so beautiful, you guys? But what actually happens is Alina was used and then discarded, and she was never able to grow into herself. As a normal writer, you would think that her arc is, she slowly grows into being the sun summoner. She slowly assumes her responsibilities. I'm fine with her being this flawed character at the beginning, this rude, grouchy little girl who's super conceited, only cares about herself and Mal. I'm fine with that, so long as I see some character growth. But she never grows on a character level. She stays the same, always. Throughout 3 books, there is no real change that ever happens to her. She ends the same exact way that she started. Except this time, she had a taste of power and of being confident. And now she's forced back to being that mousy little girl. She's never allowed to grow. If she grows again, she would have to leave Mal behind in the past. And Leigh Bardugo has this unhealthy attachment to this character because she just refuses to let go of him. I'm myself a little perplexed as to why she loves Mal so much. Maybe Mal is her ideal man. I don't know, girl. There's something wrong with that woman. Alina had potential to be a great character, but she was never allowed to be. That makes the entire story redundant. All 3 books do not matter. What was the point of Alina ever becoming a sun summoner? What was the point of her ever becoming familiarized with the world of the Gregs? It's not like she comes away from it with anything but Mal at her side. It's just such a pointless story that it astounds me. She makes no real change at all. Her biggest achievement is stabbing the Darkling. But she did that without her powers, so she never needed her powers in the first place. And honestly, she didn't even need to kill the Darkling. I feel like if the 2 of them had an actual genuine conversation, maybe they could have got some things done. If Alina cared about anyone besides herself and Mal, maybe they could have been fucking buddies. If you have to have Mal be the male lead, then fine. Just let her be, I don't know, kind of rival besties with the Darkling, At least then you can make some real change. But say what you want about the Darkling, he did care about the Gregs. Alina just didn't at all. Rather than pushing her into new territory or having her truly change, the ending makes sure that Alina ends up exactly where she started. She loses her power, she goes into hiding, she fakes her death. She lives a small rural life with Mal. She's no longer anything at all, and her power is a sin that she has to repent for. How dare she try and leave Mal? How dare she make Mal feel small and unneeded? In simpler terms, the ending makes these books feel like it was just a simple little detour for Alina that had to be erased so she could be slotted back to where she came from. Let's go back to the beginning. The core themes that the trilogy introduces involve identity, power, and the burden of choice. Alina is thrust into a world where her power can shape the future. But at every moment when Alina might lean into that power truly, aside from making sunbeams shoot out of her ass, Leigh Bardugo steps in and is like, no, can't do that, baby. It's a slippery slope towards corruption. Alina has nothing except for Mal. He's too busy having sex with these other women, flexing his muscles, you guys. Mal is hot and charming. Everyone wants a piece of his ass, and he gives that piece of his ass to everyone because he's a community meat, And normally I like this trope of childhood friends to lovers, even codependent childhood friends to lovers, sue me. These 2 are codependent to the point where it's fucking annoying. It's not something that has me twirling my mustache in glee. No, it's just excruciating. I'm can you think of anything besides Mal for 1 fucking second, you fucking donut? Alina from the start makes herself smaller to stay near him. When the Greg examiners come in, she pushes down her powers and makes sure that they don't come out. And what's funny is Mal, the living amplifier, when the Grisha examiners come in, she grabs onto his wrist. He's a living amplifier. The Grisha examiners are there too. Her power should be leaking out of her at that point. She is so fucking stupid, dude. Holy shit. The point is she made herself sickly and weak just so she could stay with him. Just hoping that one day her super sexy macho childhood best friend will notice her and notice how dutifully she's been waiting for him for all these years. And then when Mal sees her after she's been at the little palace for a few months and she's visibly happier and healthier, no longer that sickly, skinny, mousy girl that he grew up with. He sees her after she does a power demonstration with the Darkling. This is the first thing he says to her after months apart. Hell if I know. I had a report to make to your master. Wow. Guys, isn't he so romantic? No. Oh my god, it's you, Alina. I couldn't believe that was you. You look great. Wow, I'm so glad you're safe. Can you give me a hug? I was so worried about you. No, I had a report to make to your master. Then other stuff happens, they start talking. I don't need to imagine. I saw your little demonstration in the ballroom, very impressive. You saw me? That's right. Do you know how worried I've been about you? No one knew what had happened to you, what they'd done to you. There was no way to reach you. There were even rumors you were being tortured. When the captain needed men to report back to the Darkling, like an idiot, I made the trek down here just on the chance that I would find you. Really? That was hard for me to believe. I'd gotten so used to the idea of Mal's indifference. Yes. And here you are, safe and sound, dancing and flirting like some closeted little princess. Don't sound so disappointed, I snapped. I'm sure the Darkling can arrange for a rack or some hot coals if that would make you feel better. Skipping here, he snatched my hand from his face, holding it tightly, his blue eyes searching mine. Where's the amplifier effects, huh? leigh bardugo, huh? You happy here, Alina? I don't know. Sometimes? Are you happy here with him? You're wearing his symbol. His colors. They're just clothes. You don't really believe that. What difference does it make what I wear? The clothes, the jewels, even the way you look, he's all over you. I snatched my hands from his, crossing my arms over my chest. It's not like that. It was as if Mal could see right through me, as if he could pluck every fevered thought I'd ever had of the Darkling right out of my head. But on the heels of that shame came anger. So what if he did know? What right did he have to judge me? How many girls had Mal held in the dark? See, that's what I want to see. That's the kind of character growth that I wanted to see from Alina. More thoughts like that. More of her standing up to his conceited fucking ass and growing more confident and not letting him be a hypocrite. I saw how he looked at you. I like how he looks at me. He shook his head, that bitter smile still playing on his lips. I wanted to smack it right off his face, and I wish you did. Just admit it. He owns you. He owns you too, Mal. He owns all of us. No, he doesn't. Not me. He doesn't own me. Oh, really? Don't you have some place to be, Mal? Don't you have orders to follow? Yes. Yes, I do. He turned sharply and walked out the door. For a moment, I stood there, quivering with anger, and then I ran to the doorway. I got all the way down the steps before I stopped myself. The tears that had been threatening to overflow finally did, coursing down my cheeks. I wanted to run after him, to take back what I'd said, to beg him to stay. But I'd spent my life running after Mal. Instead, I stood in silence and let him go. That is what I wanted to see from her. She disappointed me. I mean, this is all framed as bad, to be honest, because all these changes that are happening are because of her being influenced by the Darkling and by the Grisha and the little palace. And the Darkling is an evil man. He's an evil man who likes to eat little children for breakfast. So it's all his fault that she's talking back to her man. It's very bad. Instead of the normal reaction of hugging your friend and weeping and being like, oh my god, I'm just so glad that you're okay, dude. He punishes Alina for daring to change without him. He's resentful that he doesn't have to save her. She should be ashamed for being so happy and healthy. She should be ashamed of being a closeted little princess instead of a sickly orphan. He asks her, are you happy here with him? He doesn't actually care if she's happy or not. He cares about whether or not Alina's happy with the Darkling, because that's unacceptable to him. She should never be allowed to be happy with the Darkling, with a man other than himself. The fucking audacity. Also, it makes no sense for her to not be happy. Imagine, wow, what am I? Some fucking Midwesterner? Oh, I'm a scooch on past it. I mean, you go from being an orphan to like this fucking figure that everyone worships and loves, and you got this hot guy called the Darkling who's like totally all over you, like, and you say you're not happy. You want to go back to being in the fucking army, Alina? This is so stupid. Leigh Bardugo is like toning down the obvious happiness that she should be feeling. I mean, she's living in opulence every fucking day. Compare that to the fucking army where you gotta shit in a bush. This shit is so stupid. Anyway. This scene is so heinous because Mal is rewriting all the ways that she's grown by saying that she's been corrupted by the Darkling. He calls the Darkling her master. That's the first thing he says to her when he sees her again. Because when she was small and invisible, she was his. And in his view, now she's changed masters. He used to be her master, now it's the Darkling. Now she's luminous and everyone wants her, and he can't stand the fact that she's no longer orbiting her entire existence around him. He expects Alina to stay in the shape that he's always known her to be in. Alina is not allowed to grow, not allowed to change or find herself without it being seen as betrayal. Her new clothes and public role and her new appearance all become suspect. All makes her guilty and a threat to Mal's identity. Because his love for Alina is conditional. He loves her when she's small, when she's silent, and when she needs him. He does not love her when she begins to stand on her own. He frames himself as the victim by telling her that he risked his life, trekked all the way down here just for a glimpse of her, because he doesn't know how to be in a relationship with Alina when the roles are reversed and when she begins to hold more power than him. The moment she rises, he has to pull her down. He doesn't say, I missed you. He says, how dare you change without me? The narrative only ever rewards Mal for this and then punishes Alina for ever wanting to be something more. How dare she want more for herself in life and love? The central message of the Grisha trilogy is, if you grow too bright, the people you love will no longer love you anymore. You can have love or you can have yourself, but you can't have both. I see some people peacocking about how morally superior they are because they prefer Mal over the Darkling. Me personally, I can't remember at all what my thoughts on the Darkling were. I don't think I was that attached to him because I feel like if I was, I would be looking at like Darklina art, and the only art I ever remember looking at was like Zoya fan art. I don't think I felt too strongly about the Darkling. Yeah, but like I also don't remember feeling too strongly about Mal either. It's obvious why people prefer the Darkling. Like, this is fucking ridiculous. Why do people act like people are crazy for preferring the Darkling? Like, obviously, like, the Darkling at his best or worst is like a yandere. He's not even a yandere because yanderes do it because they love the girls so much. But like, I mean, people love yanderes, and he's sort of a yandere, I guess. I don't know. But Mal, listen, I will never, ever meet a sexy ancient man who wants me to rule alongside him and for us to use our light and dark powers together to create a world for Gregs. That's something I'm never gonna have to worry about, okay? Mal, however, is someone who I could believe could be real, and I know he is real. This earth has seen hundreds of millions of men just like Mal. I have a much more likely chance of experiencing a boy like Mal at school, in the classroom, at parties, in my dad's friends, and my grandparents. He's the guy who feels like his ego has been crushed when you grow and change from the person that he wants you to be, and he wants to squash that potential. Women have always been punished for stepping outside the boxes other people have built for them. Like, you're probably upset that I'm saying this, but like, women back in the day probably felt way worse than you will feel from me saying this. Go ask your grandma about her experience. And that's why people hate Mal so much. The common response. Oh, Mal is 17. It's normal for a 17-year-old boy to act that way. You know why I love it when people say that? I'm 17. I have ethos for this. You people who say this have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. Peace and love, though. I feel like people seem to think that people under the age of 18 are just blameless for whatever they do. Because, oh, you know, it's their age, like, you have to understand. Like, okay, if you're the age of, like, 7 and under, I can understand that. But, like, as you grow, you start to learn what empathy is. At certain stages of your life, things that were probably okay when you were little no longer become okay. Like, when is it ever okay to behave in the way that Mal does? Like, are you people fucking stupid? Like, you think all 17-year-old boys act like this? What kind of fucking excuse is that? Like, I'm genuinely appalled. This is like such a bad excuse. Mal is just a bad person. If you truly think all 17-year-old boys are like this, dude, like, I don't even know what to say to you. Like, that's just such a ridiculous idea to have. Do not let me see you using Mal's age as an excuse for his behavior, because you can't. Okay? fuck, like if I saw my best friend, my childhood best friend, and I thought she was being tortured, and I saw her being healthy and happy, and I'd mostly be like, wow, like who is that? Is that my friend? I'd be like dazzled for a few minutes, and then I would be the one like trying to reach out to them first. Like I'd be just happy that they're safe and okay, and also, I mean, when you're friends with Sun Summoner, I mean, like, connections matter. Do a little bit of LinkedIn networking. Let's connect. Let's have a coffee chat. 15 minutes out of your day. And people are like, oh, Alina's selfish because she's 17. If you told me I was a fucking Sun Summoner, I'm this, like, cool person, then I would feel obligated to, like, try and help other Gregs. I'd be like, damn, like, y'all are really getting tortured out here? What the fuck? Like, I would not be able to sleep at night. Like, knowing that I have the power to help like my people, and I'm just like sleeping in my bed. I feel guilty as shit. Back to the story. Alina runs off with Mao because apparently the Darkling's evil, and he says, I missed you every hour. And you know what the worst part was? It caught me completely by surprise. I'd catch myself walking around to find you. Not for any reason, just out of habit. Because I'd seen something that I wanted to tell you about, because I wanted to hear your voice. And then I realized that you weren't there anymore, and every single time, it was like having the wind knocked it out of me. I've risked my life for you. I've walked half the length of Ravka for you, and I'd do it again and again and again, just to be with you, just to starve with you and freeze with you, and hear you complain about hard cheese every day. So don't tell me we don't belong together, he said fiercely. He was very close now, and my heart was suddenly hammering in my chest. I'm sorry it took me so long, Alina, but I see you. I see you now. That's so romantic. He finally realizes that the girl that's been beside him for 9 years is just amazing, and he loves her, you guys. But all this is saying is, for 9 years, Mal has never noticed her. But only now, when she's radiant and powerful and desired, does he also want to desire her. Now that he has competition with the Darkling, who is way more hot, way more powerful than he is, gets a little insecure. Suddenly, he belongs with her, and suddenly, he's been thinking about her all the time. Where was that attention when they were little kitties? I don't know. The thing is, if she had never gotten these powers, if she'd never become radiant, and Mal had never had to experience having something he took for granted taken away from him, he would not love her. He would be married to some noble woman or whatever the fuck, just plowing her. And then Alina's in the back like, oh, do you need me to rub your back, or do you need me to clean up for you guys? Like, he would not love her. The only reason he loves her now is because she's no longer in her rightful place, which is always right behind him, like a loyal, beaten dog. And now that I'm really thinking about it, I think Leigh Bardugo probably has a fantasy, or maybe she had a fantasy when she was younger, where she had someone she liked and he never noticed her, so that's why she wrote this, because she always wanted to be noticed by that guy. Something like that, because it's just not romantic. Like, if you don't, what is that thing? Like, if you don't want me on my lowest, then you don't deserve me at my best. Because he isn't fighting for Alina's autonomy. He's fighting for the version of her that made him feel safe, wanted, and needed. And then moving on to Siege and Storm. This is where he's at his worst. Before we get into that, though, I just want to note how there's a fucking character in here named Privyet, which is hello in Russian. First, you got the Gregs, then you got Privyet, and then their version of alcohol is like KVAS, which is a non-alcoholic Russian drink that's already like commonly drinking. Is like, Bardugo, you're so embarrassing. Let's really get into the meat of Mal's horribleness. I think this excerpt creates a very good tone for how this book goes. Halfway up, we pass a man and a woman on the side of the road. He's whistling as they go, waving his walking stick in time with the music. The woman trudges along, head bent, a block of salt strapped to her back. Are they very poor? I ask. Not so poor as others. Then why doesn't he buy a donkey? He doesn't need a donkey. He has a wife. I'm going to marry Alina, Mal says. The cart rolls past. The man doffs his cap and gives a jolly greeting. Mal shouts back gleefully, waving and smiling, nearly bouncing from his seat. I look back over my shoulder, craning my neck to watch the woman slogging along behind her husband. She's just a girl, really, but her eyes are old and worn. When Alina is back in Ravka and with the prince, that's when we see the absolute worst of Mal. He's jealous once again of his own inadequacy, and so he takes it out on Alina. He doesn't try and better himself. He just gets mad at her because he sucks. She's being thrust into a world full of politics, a country that's on the brink of civil war, and all he can think about is ways to make Alina's new position about himself. Alina, Mal, and Nikolai talk about Alina having a political marriage with Nikolai. Mal makes it all about himself. Nikolai's just talking about how by doing this, they would join both the first and the second armies. Before I could blink, Mal had shoved the table aside and closed in on Sturmhond, lifting him off his feet and slamming him into the tent post. Nikolai winced but made no move to fight back. Easy now, mustn't get blood on the uniform. Let me explain. Try explaining with my fist in your mouth. Nikolai twisted, and in a flash he'd slipped from Mal's grip. A knife was in his hand, pulled from somewhere up his sleeve. Step back. I'm keeping my temper for her sake, but I'd just as soon gut you like a carp. Try it, Mal snarled. He jabbed his finger in Nikolai's face. You don't have a right to her. Some of Nikolai's composure seemed to leave him. What did you think was going to happen? Did you think you could just carry off one of the most powerful Greg in the world, like some peasant girl you tumbled in a barn? Is that how you think the story ends? I'm trying to keep a country from falling apart, not steal your best girl. That's why people like Nikolai. Spitting straight facts. Nikolai said this, and that's exactly what happens. Mal did carry off one of the most powerful Gregs in the world, like some peasant girl he fucked in a barn. It's not fair. I don't need to think about it, Mal shouted. And neither does she. It's not going to happen. He never asks her what she thinks, and he doesn't even turn to her to try and get a read on what she's feeling. He just goes straight to violence. He slams Nikolai against a post, and he escalates the situation in seconds, and he never stops to ask whether this is what Alina wants. He acts like she belongs to him, and her future is his to dictate. He literally says, you don't have a right to her. Not, she deserves to choose, or this is her life to decide. No, he says you don't have a right to her, like he does. Alina is right there, but he's speaking for her and making decisions for her. You want to complain about the Darkling being her master? You're acting like you're her master. Go fucking kill yourself. Then Alina asks for the third amplifier, and Mal throws it in her face and once again makes this whole thing about him. The country's on the verge of civil war again, and he just wants to talk about himself. Like, what the fuck? You wanted the second amplifier. You have it. You want to go to Assalta? Fine, we'll go. You say you need the Firebird. I'll find a way to get it for you. But when all this is over, Alina, I wonder if you'll still want me. Who cares if she wants you or not? She has way more important things to worry about than your stupid fucking ass. And you're like, Alina doesn't want me anymore. Who cares? I mean, who gives a fuck? There's way more important things to care about, and all he can think about is himself. I mean, does growing up in that fucking orphanage make you some selfish person by nature? Like, what the fuck is going on here? He says that and then leaves before she can answer. He emotionally withdraws as a way to punish her. It's him making her feel like her ambitions are a threat to their relationship. It's deeply manipulative, and it works all the time after they have conversations like these. She always feels worse about herself, and she always feels like the blame is on her and her alone. She's never allowed to want things without fearing how Mal will react. And this pattern of guilt, jealousy, control tells us exactly who Mal is. He doesn't support Alina's growth. He is constantly trying to shrink her back down to the girl he used to know. Mal could be a very interesting character if leigh Bardugo didn't put him on a pedestal and make him look like a saint and the perfect male lead. The more Alina grows, the more Mal is threatened. And rather than grow with her, he chooses to drag her back down with him. Leigh Bardugo does not allow Alina to be mad at him. She is never allowed to say, you keep making this about you, or if you love me, you'll respect my choices. She can't draw clear boundaries, and it just gets worse. Huddle around, I'm about to narrate this for you. You chose this. You have a purpose. I don't even know what I'm doing here anymore. Me neither, Mal. Me neither. I don't know why the fuck you're even there. Don't say that. We do have a purpose. We came here for Ravka. No, Alina. You came here for Ravka, for the Firebird, to lead the second army. I came here for you. You're my flag. You're my nation. But that doesn't seem to matter anymore. Do you realize this is the first time we've really been alone in weeks? She's trying to keep the country together, you fucking know it. And what you're worried about is she hasn't seen you in a few weeks. Why don't I kill you? Why don't I fucking kill you? Mal took a single tentative step toward me, then he closed the space between us in 2 long strides. One hand slid around my waist, the other cupped my face. The Darkling was behind Mal. I stiffened. Mal pulled back. What? He said. Nothing. The Darkling was still there. Tell him you see me when he takes you in his arms, he said. I squeezed my eyes shut. Mal dropped his hands and stepped away from me, his fingers curling into fists. I guess that's all I needed to know. Mal, you just stopped me. All the time I was standing there going on like a fool. If you didn't want me, you should have just said so. Don't feel too bad, Tracker, said the Darkling. All men can be made into fools. That's not it. Is it Nikolai? What? No. Another Utkazatsa, Alina, the Darkling mocked. Mal shook his head in disgust. I let him push me away. The meetings, the council sessions, the dinners. I let him edge me out. Just waiting, hoping that you'd miss me enough to tell them all to go to hell. I swallowed, trying to block the vision of the Darkling's cold smile. Mal, the Darkling. I don't want to hear about the Darkling anymore, or Ravka or the amplifiers or any of it. I'm done. He turned on his heel and strode towards the door. Wait! I rushed after him and reached for his arm. He turned around so fast I almost careened into him. Don't, Alina. You don't understand. You flinched. Tell me you didn't. It wasn't because of you. I know you haven't had much experience, but I've kissed enough girls to know what that means. Don't worry, it won't happen again. He slammed the door behind him. I stood there staring at the closed doors. I reached out and touched the bone handle. You can fix this, I told myself. You can make this right. But I just stood there, frozen, Mal's words ringing in my ears. I bit down hard on my lip to silence a sob that shook my chest. That's good, I thought as a tear spilled over. That way the servants won't hear. There's just so much wrong with that scene. Like, you would not expect that scene to come from the main couple. Number one, he refuses to listen to her, and then he imposes his own version of reality onto her. When he says, if you didn't want me, you should have just said so, he skips over the actual explanation that she's trying to give, and he talks over. He doesn't let her say anything at all. He jumps to a conclusion that serves his pity party best. 2, he wants to be the only one she relies on. I let him edge me out, just waiting, hoping that you missed me enough to tell them all to go to hell. This is so manipulative. Mal admits that he resents the fact that Alina is growing closer to the others, becoming more and more important. Somehow, he expected her to miss him enough to just say fuck you to Ravka and then go running off with Mal. That's behavior I expect from a 5-year-old, not a 17-year-old. What are we talking about here? He wants to be her only anchor, and anything less than that is just rejection, apparently. He sees her as someone who owes him her love. He came here for her. He put everything aside to stand by her side, even though he doesn't really need to be there. And that frames Alina's role in the relationship as someone who has to constantly soften his feelings, validate his sacrifices, and offer affection on command to prove her loyalty to him. If she doesn't do that, then that means she doesn't love him and that she doesn't have any use for him and she doesn't want him anymore. 4, the story does not hold him accountable. The most frustrating part is that the narrative doesn't ever really interrogate Mal's behavior. Alina never calls him out on his bullshit. No, she pins everything on herself. She blames herself for all of this. She is never once mad at Mal for his horrible behavior towards her. There's just no symmetry here. Alina is actively trying to navigate a war, the Darkling, power, responsibility, and Mal is just sulking because she didn't see him for a while. Fuck you. And then she cries afterwards. Are you serious? Poor girl. I don't like her, but fuck. Her crying just shows that she's been taught that when Mal is hurt, that's just her fault. It's never any fault of his. It's all on her. Anger isn't unfair or cruel. It's something that she has to apologize to him for. She internalizes blame, and that's just so emblematic of how unhealthy this relationship is. As a 17-year-old, again, if anyone pulled that shit with me, I would fucking rip his balls off. I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Get the fuck out of my face. You know what? Go fucking pack your bags and go the fuck home if you're just gonna keep whining my fucking ear. I'm trying to keep this country from not falling apart, and you're whining because I'm fucking kiss you? Kill yourself. Do it now. But then it gets even worse. Mal continues to punish her for prioritizing something over him. Even if it's the future of their nation, he punishes her for it. So what he does after this is he starts drinking alcohol and he starts fighting other Gregs, and he kisses Zoya, not for the first time. It can be assumed that she's been doing this for a while, or they've been doing this for a while. Zoya is a woman who he's previously had sex with, so he knows what he's doing is wrong, because when he sees Alina, his face goes white. And then she storms off. He tries to explain it to her, which is a courtesy that he did not allow her, by the way. Anyway, he says, At least she doesn't flinch when I touch her. You don't want me, so why do you care if she does? And then she says, I don't, but she's like actually crying. Saints, I wish we'd never come here. Then let's leave. Let's run away tonight and forget we ever saw this place. Do you know how much I want that? To be with you without rank or walls or anything between us, just to be calm and again together. But you won't do it, Alina. I will. Don't kid yourself. You just find a way back. I don't know how to fix this. You can't fix it. This is the way it is. Did it ever occur to you that maybe you were meant to be a queen and I'm not meant to be anything at all? Over the next page, we just get more of his insecurity. And then Alina says she can't go back to being the girl he once knew anymore. And Mal says he wants her back. I can't go back. Even if you take away this, I already said this, whatever. Because that's the emotional hypocrisy at the center of Mal's character. He demands compassion, understanding, vulnerability from Alina, but refuses to give her the same. He punishes her for not giving him the emotional safety he demands. And he's doing it by using another woman as a cudgel. Alina's sobbing as she speaks to him because she's so hurt, and yet even in this moment, she's trying to appease him and make things better. When he says he wished they'd never come to this place, she immediately is like, you know what, fuck Ravka. Mal, I'll do anything for you. Please just don't leave me. Please don't be mad at me. Please don't abandon me. And then when Alina literally says that she'll do it, and I mean, she would do it. I mean, she did do it at the end. She said, fuck Ravka, I'm gonna go run off with Mal. When she says it, he's like, oh, I don't believe you. Well, fuck you, I guess. Like, what do you want from her? You don't believe her when she says she will, when she obviously would? Like, you're such a fucking idiot. That's the thing. Mal does not want to actually run away with her. He wants her to prove she wants him more than the world. He wants things to go back to the way they were. This is a test that she cannot pass. And that's the point. He needs her to fail so he can feel justified wallowing in his misery. And then he tells her this is just the way that it is. He presents his inferiority complex as an unsolvable truth and puts the burden on her for trying to rise above it. His solution is, you should have stayed small because right now I can't bear feeling small next to you. His self-worth is shattered by the person she is becoming. Instead of seeking his own path, he demands that she bend towards his. Instead of growing up, he just wants to stay stagnant and wallow. He wants to be with her so long as he gets to be the most important thing in her life. Mal's final test in the scene is, if I took away everything from you, if I could just make you powerless again, would you give it all up to be mine? And she says no. And her answer is like the first time where she actually genuinely chooses herself. Tells him about how she sees the Darkling, and so she didn't tell him that because she's already noticed that he's a little afraid of her. And she's like being so emotionally vulnerable, like telling him the honest truth. What does he do? Well, our romantic male lead, he says nothing. He just snatches a bottle of alcohol and then stalks off. Really nice job, Mal. Way to make her feel better after making her cry. Good job. Like, are you, like, this is the man I'm supposed to be rooting for? Like, what the fuck? And then that night, Alina falls asleep, and then she dreams of Mal kissing her, and she's just so relieved that he's taken her back and forgiven her that she just kisses him back and starts crying tears of happiness because, oh my god, she has no self-respect or self-worth even after becoming the fucking sun summoner. Because, I mean, it is her fault. Everything's her fault. Mal being vindictive and petty is just all because of her. Surprise, it's Alexander Morozov, and after that, Alina gets a little jump scare, and then she's like so tired, like emotionally burnt out from the fact that Mal really did not forgive her yet. She goes out to the city in her PJs, and she lets a crowd of worshippers start to tear her apart. Like, she was gonna kill herself because of Mal. The only reason why she didn't kill herself is because other people jumped in to save her. She was ready to die. Why would I support this romance? She's attempting suicide. But oh my god, like, that's just romance, you know, that's just like how romance is. Like, I just get so teary-eyed when I think about how great they are for each other. Yeah, leigh Bardugo rightfully got a lot of shit for that. So the final book, Mal does a complete 180. Oh, you've never seen a more supportive boyfriend than Mal in this book. Oh, he loves her so much. He even gets a corny ass tattoo on his back. I am become a blade. So edgy. So edgy and corny and just like 2000s. Like, what the fuck? But even then, Alina's never like, thank you, Mal. I really appreciate how you're maturing. What you did hurt me and was unacceptable, and I hope you know that. I hope we can establish some boundaries in this relationship now. She's like, oh my god, Mal's like forgiving me. Like, what did I ever do to deserve such a bad, like, Mal? Because it's still unhealthy. You have to give her a backbone. Like, come on. The Wise Books and Breadcrumbs writes, we get more of Alina being friendly, maybe even wanting him, and him shutting it down. He's made his decision that she will be Nikolai's queen without listening to her again. So there will be Nothing between him. Everything is on his terms. I know I said I wasn't trying to compare the men in Alina's life, but take a look at what Alina feels when she thinks of Nikolai. I missed him, the way he talked, the way he attacked a problem, the way he brought hope with him wherever he went. For the first time in months, I felt the knot in my chest ease. It's the last part that is especially noteworthy. She's had a knot in her chest for months, and Mal obviously has only been making it worse. And then there's Nikolai, and he makes her feel better. And then just a few pages later, Mal is actually a decent guy and allows Alina and Nikolai to eat dinner alone together. I hate that this is something we have to draw attention to, because it just shows maybe right now he doesn't treat her like a possession, but earlier he did. Then Mal and Alina have a conversation. It doesn't seem terrible at first, but then Mal says, I wasn't afraid of you, Alina. I was afraid of losing you. The girl you were becoming didn't need me anymore, but she's who you were always meant to be. He doesn't say, oh, I'm proud of who you're becoming, or I struggle to keep up, but I support you. He says, you were always meant to be great, but I hated that because it made me feel insecure and irrelevant. He wants her to be powerless and to need him, / that he's afraid if he doesn't have to rely on him, she'll leave him. Then it's brought up that Darkling and Nikolai want Alina for her power. It is not brought up that Mal wants her without her power. He appears to be okay with it, but being okay with it isn't the same as embracing it when the last thing he actually said on that matter was that he'd like to cut it out of her. You're all I've ever wanted. You're the whole of my heart. Leigh Bardugo originally wrote that Mal didn't even notice her when they were kids, and he only noticed her after she'd become desired by others. Then she retconned it and made it so Mal always loved her. So that just makes him even worse of a person, because he was fucking around with other girls when he was supposedly in love with her. Listen, when you have two people who are mutually in love with each other but they don't know it, but they're interacting with each other constantly, that naturally progresses to a love story. And they were apparently two people in love with each other and again hanging around each other constantly. Like, I mean, have you never read like a childhood best friends to lovers story? Like, you start accidentally slipping up and you have like moments of romantic tension. There should have been a moment where he was like, you Jacob Balak Gats.
いただきます
还有一亩香甜和一亩瓜田，不仅外形可爱，而且味道还……
しまった。
你这个扒了个嘎子，要咬着吃才能尝到里面的糖心大芒果。
This is just like somehow more romantic. Then why is Alina never given the same grace? Why isn't she allowed to fuck around with other men if he can fuck around with other women? It's just bullshit. Anyway, the truth of the matter is still that he only ever made these speeches once Alina had already become out of reach for him. His love isn't built on who she is, it's built on who he is in relation to her. He needs her to want him so he can feel important. When he realizes that he's losing her, he rushes to rewrite everything. Oh, I loved you from the moment I first saw you and you were just a little skinny mouse. By then, he's already shown us the kind of person that he is. In the end, Mal doesn't ever have to change. Alina has to for him. She has to change and she has to regress and go back to the woman that he wants her to be. So we're left with a male lead who is emotionally manipulative, cruel and petty, unable to listen or let her speak, driven by insecurity, but unwilling to process any of it, constantly demanding unconditional loyalty without offering trust, derisive of her power and selfhood, mocking, dismissive, and emotionally volatile, and someone who likes to wallow in his own self-pity. He yells when she cries, he cuts her down when she tries to build back the relationship, he demands sacrifices that he would never make himself. Imagine Mal as a sun summoner. He would not give two fucking flying farts about Alina. He would have like a harem of Gregs and would be like, oh, Alina, who even is that anyway? Let's see who else is on my roster tonight. Fuck you, dude. He makes her feel like she is the problem for daring to become more than the version of herself that he's grown comfortable with. The story's like, oh, these are just growing pains. He needed time. But no one should have to shoulder the weight of someone else's ego just to keep your love alive. And I also want to talk about the conservatism that underlines Alina's arc. Alina literally has nothing and no one outside of Mal. She has no hobbies or anything except for chasing after Mal. She's not even good at map making or art, and she doesn't really have any strong relationships outside of him. All she has is her sarcasm and her love for him. But in the little palace, she gets something of her own. She finally has a way where she can grow and become an actual person. Alina, for the first time in her life, had a piece of herself that made her complete, and then she lost it, and then she went back to being Mal's donkey. Her literal only 3 personality traits are being snarky, bordering on rude, Mal, and then blaming herself for everything Mal's ever done. Being a Greg isn't just like a hobby, it's a part of your being. So Alina lost an essential part of herself. The attempts to sell it as a happy ending are just infuriating. The story repeatedly punishes Alina for employing her own agency. She barely makes any decisions for herself. She's just very passive and goes along with the flow. The natural conclusion of Alina's arc should have been an acceptance of an intrinsic part of her identity that would mend the damage dealt by years of repression. And this repression is directly connected to her attachment to Mal because her resistance to the Grisha test was an effort to stay by his side. Her beginnings as an orphan would traditionally expect us for a female protagonist who goes on a journey of growth, but her arc is more about containment than anything else. When she wants to use her power to change the world for the better, the text is deeply suspicious of her wanting more. Repeatedly, leigh Bardugo codes Alina's increasing control over her powers as dangerous, prideful, and unnatural. She's made to doubt herself constantly. The Darkling and Nikolai, with all their flaws, see her as a peer. Mal can't stomach her being anything other than that mousy little girl who would always come back to him no matter what. Mal's wants are never pathologized in the way that Alina's are. He wants Alina to choose him, prioritize him above all other things, validate him even when she's the literal chosen one and shoulders the fate of a nation and a people. His constant need for reassurance, his sulking, and even his betrayal are all presented as a result of Alina letting him be insecure and him being just a boy. He's just a boy, you guys. He's a boy being a boy. He feels emasculated by the grandeur of what Alina has, and he's just a tragic figure who wants his old life back. Meanwhile, Alina is shamed for the smallest transgressions. A crush on the Darkling, a moment of pleasure and power, the fantasy of someone treating her like she's worth worshipping. Bardugo doesn't allow Alina to join these feelings without consequence. She's made to suffer for every inch she desires to take. Mal's selfishness is human. Alina's desire is dangerous. She has to apologize for wanting. He gets celebrated for withholding. Plus, there's something very retrograde about Alina's love life. Even though she has 2 men who are much, much better than Mal. Like, much better. Listen, the Darkling could delete all of human existence. I don't give a fuck. I still think he's better than Mal. Nikolai could, do the same exact thing. Hey, and I would still think he's better than Mal. But Alina's feelings are policed to an absurd degree. She never does anything more than kiss anyone but Mal. She doesn't even have a single moment of lust where she doesn't feel ashamed and guilty. Contrast with this Mal, who has a parade of lovers and flirts openly, all while he is supposedly in love with Alina. This is never used as a moral mark against him. Even when he kisses Zoya, he was just being a boy. A man needs space, a man needs dirt and blood and other women to remember who he is. Alina is not allowed to entertain the idea of anyone else without being punished for it. Her goodness is in her chastity and restraint. The ending of the trilogy just solidifies that she loses her powers and becomes a caretaker in the orphanage with Mal. Bardugo strips Alina of everything that made her extraordinary, and the book has the audacity to present this as peace, as if returning to nothingness is a happy ending. What's so insidious about the Grisha trilogy is that it pretends not to be conservative. Bardugo punishes Alina for every single action she takes that makes Mal upset. She's punished for wanting, for power, everything. The ultimate fantasy Bardugo chooses to fulfill is the one where the orphan girl gives it all up for a boy who resented her for rising above him. His love is possessive, petty, and conditional. Alina is treated like a cautionary tale. Don't fly too far to the sun, even if you are the sun. What makes it worse is the moral framing of it. Bardugo seems to think that Alina's matured at the end, and rejecting power and embracing normalcy is spiritual growth. But this is only maturity if you believe she has to suffer in order to be good. Mal is never asked to diminish himself for Alina. He is never asked to accept a world where she outshines him. It is always her who must shrink. The Grisha trilogy could have been a story about someone navigating impossible choices. Instead, Instead, it became a tale about knowing your place. I see a lot of people say that Alina's ending is just like Katniss's from the Hunger Games, but you could not be more wrong. Katniss ends after killing Snow and Coin. The Hunger Games are gone. There's a new government being rebuilt. The country is changing for the better. She's outlived her usefulness. The rebellion doesn't need her anymore. So she goes back to District 12 and tries to rebuild the pieces of all she's lost. And then she lives with Peeta and they have kids. And that's that. The thing is, Katniss never had any real power. She was always a figurehead being told what to do. Alina had power, obviously. I mean, that was how she kept herself healthy and like fucking going each day. She had to use that power. She was never a figurehead in the way Katniss was. The rebellion was never led by Katniss. She was just a symbol that the leaders would just dangle up and move around like a puppet. Katniss never did anything worthwhile. Alina was never told to dance a certain way because the leaders of the anti-Darkling faction told her to. Even though Alina has very little agency, she still had more agency than Katniss. Katniss did not need to be the Mockingjay for her to be happy and healthy and live a long life. Alina needed her power to be happy and healthy. And Katniss, this is the big part, Katniss really never had more she could have done to help her world. She never had any power in the first place. That's what people keep forgetting. Katniss never had the sway to have the rebellion move one way or the other. The most she could do was be like, I need you to save Peeta and I need you to save Annie. Alina, on the other hand, had the power to do that. She had the connections, the reputations, the ability to change things for the better. But at the end of the trilogy, instead of making use of all this and trying to carve out a better life for people, after she's seen the problems that Ravka has, she turns her back on it all just for Mal. Katniss never does that. Even if she really wanted to change things and like help the new government create a better Panem, who would really let her? Plutarch never respected her as someone who could realistically make decisions for the rebellion. She was just there for propaganda videos, okay? But if Alina wanted a voice, she would be given a voice. I mean, that's what people want from her. People want her to have a voice. People want Katniss to stay quiet and just play her role as a Mockingjay. Meanwhile, people like Nikolai want Alina by his side so they can like make Ravka a better place. And Katniss leaves the world a better place. Alina doesn't. Like I said, Ravka was flat broke. I mean, the Grisha were going fucking extinct because like they were all getting hooked on that fucking drug. Like, Ravka was in a way worse position than it was when the Darkling was leading it. If they were truly as similar as people like to claim they are, Peeta would not be the male lead. It would be Gale. And not just booky Gale, it would be movie Gale. Gale would be jealous 24/7 about Katniss's Mockingjay status, and Katniss would have to kill him to break out of the games. She does, and then he dies, but then he's back because he got a heart transplant from Peeta or some bullshit. And then he's back just as a Deus Ex Machina appears, and the two of them are whisked out of the third quarter quell, and Katniss's death is faked, so the Capitol is none the wiser. So they keep letting the Hunger Games continue. And actually, the Hunger Games get even worse because they've seen this act of rebellion, and they're tightening their grip on the districts. So Katniss and Gale fuck off and hide somewhere outside of Panem. They don't care that the Capitol's doing all this. That's none of their business. They're happy. They're peaceful. That's all that matters. The games never end. These two are just away from all the pressure. Now then, if you ask me what I think the ending should have been, I think that's quite obvious. I like the show's ending. I don't like how they got there. I think she should have married Nikolai. Nikolai is oh my God. I shouldn't even have to say this. Nikolai is so much better than Mal. It's embarrassing. Poor Nikolai. Can you imagine having a crush on this girl? Well, I mean, not really poor because he got with someone else at the end, but can you imagine like being like Nikolai, a girl you like is like choosing a guy who's way worse than you? I'd be like, damn, what the fuck? Oh, imagine being the Darkling too. No, but I actually like it. I like that the Darkling got humbled. I think he needed to be humbled a little bit because like the Darkling and Alina have a very uneven power balance, like no matter what, because he's way older than she is. He's way more experienced than she does. I feel like they need stuff like that. Like, he needs to be humbled more. for it to ever be equal. In the Zoya duology, Leigh Bardugo started rewriting history. So King of Scars is about like Nikolai. He like sometimes still turns into like a little shadow monster or whatever. Zoya's there, and Zoya gets the ability to wield every single type of Grisha magic available because apparently all Grisha can do that and no one found out until like now. And also she can shapeshift into a dragon. So she becomes the fucking Greg avatar and she can turn into a dragon. Also, she has another amplifier. But she's not greedy. That's not greedy, you guys. That's not too much power. Because Zoya's power is healthy and then Alina's power was corrupt. I've already addressed that bullshit. Alina's power was not corrupt. Like, what did you want her to do? The only thing she could have done was to get 3 amplifiers and destroy the fold. Like, there was never another option for her. She was given an impossible choice. Zoya, she did not need to be the Grisha avatar. Like, she was strong enough just being a fucking squalor. That's bullshit. Somehow she's not punished by the universe, and that destroys whatever message that Leigh Bardugo was trying to give with the ending of the Grisha trilogy. If the only way for a truly powerful Grisha to have an ending is to become completely depowered in order to fit in with her insecure boyfriend, then Zoya becoming what she becomes shows that Alina could have had a much better ending than just fading into obscurity. If everyone all this time could like manipulate all the Grisha powers, like if they really wanted to, like how has this never been done before? And no one was ever like, damn it, why am I fucking squalor? This shit is so lame. Genya was never like, oh my god, I'm literally treated like a servant. Like, I really wish I could fucking be a heartrender. And like, she never sat there and tried to do it. That's ridiculous. And the Darkling, this immortal being who was obsessed with the idea of a sun summoner, he never realized that he could have been the sun summoner himself. That's stupid. That's stupid. Leigh Bardugo, what are you doing? And like, at the very least, why didn't he try and like pick up some other powers then? Like, it would be really fucking useful to be a heartrender. Dude, I still think that's the coolest power in the Grisha trilogy, to be a heartrender. Hell yeah, oh my god. Like, you know you failed as a writer when you have to put in your new books defenses for your original ending. Because that's what a lot of King of Scars spends time doing. Like, I don't even think she got that much criticism, but she was like, I know, guys, you're all gonna love me for being a diverse author, so I'm gonna make Zoya half Suli. I think that's how you say it. You guys are getting mad at me because I took away powers from this female character? Fine. I'm gonna make Zoya the most powerfulest, most prettiest character. And you guys can't say shit to me. You don't like Alina's ending? Well, I'm gonna have her say that she loves her ending and that she deserved it. She's so petty that she wrote the Darkling's fans into the world as the cult of the Starless Saint because she hates him so much, which I would understand if she was talking about the show fans. The show Darkling fans are fucking crazy, dude. Like, the casting of Ben Barnes was so damaging, dude, because all the people with crazy daddy kinks just like rose up from the dead and were like, oh yeah, like this is my new favorite series. It's actually, dude, the Darkling / Alina tag on AO3, like 80% of it is just the weirdest smut ever. I'm like, dude, I just want to read about the book universe. Why are we in modern AUs? Like, what I will give to the Grisha trilogy is that the setting is super interesting. I've always liked the setting because it was Russian-inspired fantasy, and like, there's not that many of those for English speakers. Like, what do you mean you made Alexander like 9 years old and Alina's just a cutesy little innocent 5-year-old and they're banging? Like, what are we talking about here? See, I'd understand if it was that. But King of Scars finished a month before the show ever dropped, so she'd never even come into contact with the fans yet. After she wrote the Grisha trilogy and saw the reception to it, she immediately switched up because Leigh Bardugo was a fan of the Darkling. I mean, duh, like is her character. She liked him a lot. She said that she based him off of like every like bad boy that she was attracted to when she was a kid. And she would feed into like fan interactions, and like the book, to my knowledge, was marketed as like a dark fantasy romance. So it was marketed as like, oh, the Darkling's gonna be the male lead. Obviously did not end up that way. She had fun doing it. But she switched up when she saw that oh, people are preferring the Darkling over Mal. That's just not acceptable. At the heart of it is a desire to enforce narrative purity, which is a subtle manifestation of the same logic that is behind purity culture. Alina is allowed to be tempted by the Darkling and Nikolai, but she can't ever truly stray away from Mal. She can dance with danger, but the reader must always understand it as such. She can feel drawn to the Darkling, but if she chooses him and if the readers prefer him, then she has failed the arc, and so have they. Leigh Bardugo wanted her cake and to eat it too. She wanted her self-insert to bask in the gloriousness and the hotness of the Darkling, but only to a point, because she never actually wanted anyone to choose the Darkling. She was fine with people shipping her self-insert with the Darkling, but if you genuinely wanted that to be the endgame, that's too far. She can be drawn to that darkness, but only if she comes back chaste and corrected and pure to Mal. She can have her moment with the Darkling, but you can't go too far. So Leigh Bardugo's frustration with Darklina fans is that we refuse to return home to Malina. I think Darklina is stupid. It just proves how much Leigh Bardugo liked the allure of the Darkling. I've seen some people act like Leigh Bardugo was saying like, oh, the Darkling is an abuser and he's a villain, you shouldn't like him. But like, it's obvious that she wanted people to like him, but not love him when she was writing the books. So I mean, it's obviously shown, especially in the Darkling's last moment where he's like, Alina, and like wiping her tears. I just don't believe for a second that he would be in love with her. Okay. Because Alina is so, like, childish. She's childish and rude and obviously does not respect the Grisha, who he seems to care a lot about. I'm thinking if I was, like, this immortal, like, 500-year-old being and this is a person I've been waiting a fucking lifetime for, I'd be interested, yeah, a little bit. I'd be like, oh, you're interesting. Like, I've never had anyone sass me before. But then at a point, I'd be like, okay, like, I'm getting bored of this, bro. Like, you're fucking annoying. Like, I don't know. It's weird that he likes her. And it's obvious that he only likes her because Leigh Bardugo wants him to like her. If I were him, if I were like him but me, like if I was the big bad Darkling, like I would have none of Alina's shit. I wouldn't have it. I'd be like, you obviously were not parented properly, you freaking orphan. So I guess I gotta do it now. You're fucking grounded, but you learn how to be a respectful human being. Oh man, the lighting's so bad. I feel really sorry, but I'm gonna fix it. But the point is, Darklina makes no sense, and it's obvious the only reason why it exists is because Leigh Bardugo wants it to exist. Because I mean, Alina Starkov is her self-insert. I'll get into it a bit later. Anyways, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about this show. Let's talk about the fact that Alina is Asian in the show. Let's talk about the fact that she's half Chinese, half white in the show. Y'all may not know something about me. Maybe you guessed it from my name, Yu Zuhua. Maybe you're like one of the many other people who tell me I look Mexican. I'm not Mexican. I'm China. 我们大 China. Yes. And I rebuke her. I do not accept her as Asian. She'll never be Asian. Never. Asia disavows this woman. From what I remember about the Grisha trilogy, I remember that I did not like Alina. I remember I did not like the ending. And I remember that I like Zoya. I remember those three things. I hate her. And I always have. I do understand that a little bit of it is like Leigh Bardugo never allowing Alina to grow. But I'm sorry, like she was just so annoying. Her self-esteem is so low that I'm just fucking sick of it. She's like, oh my god, like, oh, I could never be a Grisha. Like, you're also pretty. And I'm like, not. She thinks she's like disappointing the Darkling constantly. She needs constant validation. She loves summoning light in her status as a sun summoner, but she hates all the responsibility that comes with it. Doesn't even act like an orphan, which I think is Leigh Bardugo's fault. She acts like she's a spoiled brat because she doesn't like eating raw and herring. She like hates everything in the first few chapters. She's like horrified upon seeing an animal being killed and eaten, but she's a kid raised in the countryside of like 1800s fantasy Russia. How is she not familiar with this concept? Alina's always either being rude and self-centered or just pining over Mal. Like, those are her only two states of being. She thinks every Grisha girl is fake and shallow. The Darkling is robot. He feels nothing. The Heartrenders are killing machines. She gets attacked by Fjordans, learns that it's a common occurrence for Gregs, and then just doesn't care. She learns that Genya is mocked for being raped by the king, and she doesn't care. She doesn't have any problems seeing the same king harassing a bunch of maids. She kills a bunch of people and she destroys a skiff and doesn't care. And I mean, she's a pointless character. She never gets over her insecurities. She never lets go of Mal. She never fully embraces her powers and she never develops agency. She never changes. She always stays the same. Her insecurities in Shadow Bone are one, she's ugly and not talented. She's ugly and not as talented as the other Grisha, and she's an orphan and she's scared of being unwanted. Being the Sun Summoner solves all these fucking problems. She gets prettier and healthier. She has a unique, cool power, a community that cares about her. She has the support of all the important figures in Ravka. She could have a family, but she refuses to acknowledge that she's one of them. She doesn't train properly. She complains about how they're prettier and pampered. Instead of having her superstitions and all her stereotypes of the Gregs being shattered, when she starts living with them and realizing what they have to go through and getting mad that her people are being treated this way, she doesn't feel any empathy. She only becomes protective of Genya once Genya comes to her side and is mutilated out of pity. If it was genuine compassion, she would have forgiven her from the start. Every single Greg is being hunted, essentially, and almost everyone has lost a loved one to the war, but Alina doesn't care. Because if she really did care, she might start feeling guilty about how she runs away from her responsibilities at every given moment. Every time it felt like Alina was emerging from her cocoon, she went back to the toxic situationship and the toxic mindset. The narrative also always struck her down. Every book ends and begins with her being sickly, fragile, missing an essential part of herself. It started out well with Alina being removed from a really bad environment. She finds a purpose in life, loving herself, finding herself, growing more confident, outgrowing her stupid toxic crush. But then it all goes downhill. This constant vicious cycle does not fit what Leigh Bardugo wants the theme to be, which is growth and improvement. She has no convictions, no principles, and no ability to think about the consequences of her actions. She just parrots whatever Bagra tells her, listening to Mal, Nikolai the Apparat, or whoever else is there to fuel her pre-existing biases. When she argues with the Darkling, her main arguments are, it's not fair, or you're a monster. And a way to fix this would be to make her Fjordan. I really have no idea. Oh my god, my voice. I've been talking for 3 hours. I really have no idea if I'm saying that word right, but like, whatever, man. That would make sense. That would make sense why she's like so skeptical of the other Gregs and why she has like no empathy for them and no desire to help them at all, because she's been raised in a country where they disavow the Gregs and think that they're evil and witches, you know? Like, that would explain so much. But no, she's just some fucking like weird, rude girl. Going back to how I was saying that Alina is Leigh Bardugo's self-insert, I do believe that, because Zoya is literally Alina, but better in every way. Zoya is Alina, but allowed to keep her powers and be super strong and OP. Zoya is Alina, but she's prettier. Like, literally, every time she's brought up in the fucking book, it's like, oh my god, like, Zoya is so stunning and just gorgeous, and look at her raven hair. And Zoya has the same personality as Alina a little bit. Like, they're both kind of snarky and rude, but Zoya does it in a way that's, like, more likable, you know? Zoya was my favorite character. When I read the book in 2018, even back then I kind of internalized that Zoya was just the better version of Alina. So I liked her more, and I liked the fact that she was like having some kind of thing going on with Nikolai. I was like, oh my god, like, what are we doing right now? In 2018, I was 10. Zoya was Caucasian. Hold on. I need you to stay with me here. Zoya was a Caucasian, but she had black hair. Oh, I had black hair. She had blue eyes. Back in that day, I was like really obsessed with the combination of black hair and blue eyes. I was in love. I was like, oh my god, like, what's going on? She could speak Shu. I don't know how what Shuhan. Like, is that how you're supposed to say it? Shuhan? I don't know. Whatever. She could speak Shu. She was friends with the Shu teacher, and I was a little like Weijin. I was like, oh my god, like, she's obviously white, but like, what if like she was Weijin? Like, what then? And I really liked her, so clung to her, and I kind of low-key self-inserted. Because, like, I mean, like white people, when have you ever seen, like, a white person, like a white woman with naturally black hair? I think that's why. Yeah. Dude, literally, I thought of Zoya as Asian until, like, 2021. Or Weijin, whatever the fuck. Until, like, the show came out. And then the book's finished. And you can't even blame me for this. On Leigh Bardugo's now deleted Tumblr, on this fan art, she was like, this is exactly how I imagined Zoya. I remember she even like would fan cast Megan Fox and was the British girl, I forgot her name, Kaya Scodelario as Zoya. And even at one point she wanted Sean O'Pry to be the Darkling, which would have been funny. I cannot imagine him as a Darkling ever. He's like way too masculine. Very beautiful man, but he's like masculine handsome, you know? That's besides the point. I was 13 when these Zoya books I'd been so excited for had finished. It's like when you're a kid, identity is like shallow and also deep. It lives in your like experiences and in the media you consume. For me, it lived in Zoya. I wanted to see a character, or I wanted to see myself in a character like her. I still care that Alina was race swapped and I rebuke the fuck out of it. I don't care about Zoya anymore. I haven't read these books in forever. Just like leave me alone. What matters is leigh Bardugo is a fucking hack. I have no problems with Alina's actress. She's like a nice lady. I don't know her name. But like, let's be honest. Okay, Alina was never Chinese in the books. Thank God she wasn't. Oh my God, if she was Chinese in the books, that's like some sort of hate crime. I disavow it, no. And suddenly, miraculously, she's biracial in the TV show. And leigh Bardugo wants to point at her biracial protagonist and then pat herself on the back. But she was never meant to be Asian in the first place. You only changed it to get brownie points, get the fuck out of my face. Alina will never be Asian. That loser will never be Chinese. Never. Never. Or Shuhan, whatever, bro. But the point is she won't, like, the continent of Wasia exiles her. We deport her back to the lands of Caucasia. She can go back to the mountains of Caucasus. Alina's Asianness is never for her. It's for the audience. And you can never call yourself someone who is just so progressive and amazing when you wrote the Grisha trilogy, which had the sole message that a woman who gains too much power must eventually be humbled and brought low. She will never be the progressive person y'all want her to be. Especially since she continues to stand by that ending. Oh, I hate her, bro. Now, quickly, I'm gonna get through some miscellaneous annoying things that I had with the books. This is a problem that I had when I was 10. Even when I was 10, I thought summoning sickness was the stupidest fucking thing. So you're telling me you can't just fucking like create a small ball of light in your hands, like hide under your sheets and like do it? Because when Alina's on the run, she has like summoning sickness and she's like so sad. You can't like make a little ball of light. You can't go into the closet, lock yourself in and just like make some light, get it out of your system. That's so fucking stupid. Summoning sickness is the dumbest fucking thing. If you're stupid enough to be like falling ill from summoning sickness, you deserve that bullshit. Are you fucking serious? Even when I was 10, I was thinking that. I was like, why doesn't Alina just like hide herself and like do a little something? I thought it was so stupid. Another thing, why are sun and shadow summoners like so gassed up? Like they're so like amazing when like heart renders are like way more powerful. Like they can stop your heart just by looking at you, and you want me to, you can use light and you can like spin shadows around. Who fucking gives a fuck? I can like make this, like, can't you make the sperm in someone's balls like stop working? You like reach for their heart, like, reach for their brain, like, hello, that's way more powerful. The fuck? I just don't get it. Like, why are they so amazing? A tide maker could do something crazy like the Darkling did. They could like make the Great Flood happen again, like Noah's Ark Part 2. A fire person could make living hell on earth. A squalor could like make storms last for days. Like you know. The best explanation I've ever gotten from this was in the Darklina fanfiction. And don't get my fucking comments calling me a Darklina shipper. Listen. When you're bored over summer break and you have nothing to do, you start reading fanfic from like anything that you have even an ounce of knowledge about. Like, I read fucking Naruto fanfiction because I'm so bored. I have not seen a single episode of Naruto. I just vaguely know like the characters and what it's about. The Grisha trilogy has like thousands of fanfiction. Why would I not read some of it? I've nothing better to do with my time. Anyway, basically what was said in that fanfiction was like the sun summoners, like, they have extraterrestrial powers. Like they like, or Alina can like manipulate light from the actual sun. Like, all the other Grisha, they manipulate stuff that's actually on Earth. The Sun Summoner manipulates stuff that's directly from the sun. So it's like celestial. It's out of this world. And then the Shadow Summoner, like, I don't know, it was like the other side of the moon, something like that. But it was also celestial, and I was like, okay, that's a good explanation. And then my last qualm was like, why do these people know what a Sun Summoner is if a Sun Summoner has never popped up before? Like, that made no sense to me. Like, why wasn't Bagra's sister the Sun Summoner, the first Sun Summoner? I just didn't get it. Anyway, I'm so glad to get this all off my chest. It was just like all bunched up inside of me for like 7 years. It's finally been released.
喂啊，不是咱们拉夫卡最后一套小毛鱼吗？但姐姐们，这次我真的要走了。我已经整整半年没用过我的灵力量了，所以我有一个 bad news。 我家那位君君，这周已经跟第5个女人偷亲了，就是我的力量没有让他有安全感。Good news， 我知道是自己的错，我太贪心了，早该知道自己的问题，永远只能在他身后。我绝对把这份力量卖掉，不要你们的钱了，交1刀呢，免费送1刀。